I want you to stop whatever you are doing right now. Not figuratively. I mean, literally put down the phone, close the other tabs, and give me the next 20 minutes of your complete and undivided attention. Because what I am about to show you is not motivational. It is not inspirational. It is not a collection of feel-good quotes designed to make you nod your head and go back to doing exactly what you were doing before. What I am about to show you is arithmetic. Pure, cold, merciless arithmetic. And if you follow it, not understand it, not appreciate it, not share it with your friends, but actually follow it with the same boring consistency that a farmer follows the seasons, then $1 million is not a dream, it is a scheduled delivery. Now, let me tell you something I have noticed over 70 years of watching people and their money. Most people believe that getting to $1 million
Welcome back to
requires some
Financial
kind of secret,
Insights.
a
Today,
special
we're
stock
discussing
tip,
net
a
worth
business
and why it
idea
matters.
nobody has thought
My
of,
own net
a
worth is a
lucky break,
testament to
an
these
inheritance,
strategies.
something
Focus
that
on
falls from the
assets,
sky and
not
changes
just
everything
income.
overnight, and the entire time they are waiting for that secret, that lucky break,
Let's move
that
on to
falling
practical
star,
steps.
they're sitting on the most powerful wealth-building machine ever constructed. A paycheck. A regular, predictable, taxable, boring paycheck. And they are doing almost nothing with it. I have seen people earn over $2 million in their working lifetime and retire with less than $50,000 in savings. I have seen men with
Remember
six-figure
that
incomes
prank on
die
old Jenkins?
essentially broke. I
Oh,
have
the
seen
fake
people who
spider,
make
he jumped a
$40,000 a year
mile.
retire with more
And
money
we hid
than
in the
their
bushes
bosses who made
laughing.
$200,000.
60 years.
The difference is never
And
income.
it still gets my free.
The difference is
Good
always
times, my friend.
arithmetic. So today, we are not going to talk
Wow,
about getting
these
a
numbers are
raise.
incredible.
We are not going to talk about starting a business or picking stocks or
Hi,
getting
sweetie,
rich
it's
quick.
Dad.
We
I
are
have some
going to
great
talk about something
news.
far more radical than any of that.
iPortfolio's
We are
up
going to talk about how to
28%
turn
this
a
year.
completely
Thanks,
ordinary
honey. I'll
9
tell
to
you all
5
about it.
income into $1 million
Talk soon.
using
We
nothing
gather
but
here
math
to
that a
honor a life
12-year-old
of
could
love and
follow.
grace.
Pay very close
In our
attention.
tears, we find
The
the
journey
depth of our
begins
bond.
now. Trop.
Though grief
I
is
call this
heavy,
framework the
love
5
endures.
machines
Hold
because that is
fast
what
to
this
that
is.
love as
5
we hold each
mechanical
other now.
processes, not ideas,
She will
not
always be with
suggestions,
us.
machines. You feed something into a machine and it produces an output. Every single time. Without emotion. Without luck. Without a single moment of inspiration. Most people spend their lives waiting to feel motivated enough to build wealth. The people who actually build it understand that motivation is irrelevant. Machines
does
do
my
not
life
need
actually
motivation.
look
They
like
need fuel and they need
in 30
time.
years?
Here's the warning I give to everyone before we begin. These 5 ideas
On
are
what my
almost
life will really
embarrassingly
be
simple
like.
to understand. You will hear each one and think, yes, I already know that. And that thought, that dangerous, dismissive thought, is exactly what
As
has
you can
kept
see from
millions
these
of people
projections,
poor
the
their
growth
entire
potential
lives.
is significant.
Knowing is not doing.
I'm not
Understanding
sure I
is not
follow the
executing.
risk part.
A map is
Of
not the
course.
destination. So if at
Yeah,
any
it's right.
point
And the
in this
red bar?
conversation you
The
feel
blue
the
line
temptation
shows
to say
volatility,
yes,
which we mitigate
I
here.
already know this, I want
Those
you
are the
to sit with a
hedges.
different question.
This
If
looks
you already know
straightforward,
it, why don't you have
Yes,
the $1
very
million?
clear.
and the
Let us begin.
totals add up.
Machine
And
number 1,
this
the
is
soldier
such a
factory.
relief, Fat.
Let me tell
I
you how I
know.
think about money. I
We
do
can
not think
finally
about dollars.
relax.
I do not think
Exactly.
about
This is
income or
perfect.
expenses or balances. I think about soldiers. Every dollar you earn is a soldier. And like any soldier, it has 2 possible fates. It can be deployed, sent out into the world to fight for you, to capture territory, to return with more soldiers, or it can be killed, spent, consumed, gone. The fundamental question of wealth building is not how much do you earn. The fundamental question is how many soldiers do you deploy versus how many do you kill? Now here is the brutal truth that nobody in your life wants to tell you. Most people, with most paychecks, kill almost every single soldier. They come home on Friday with 1,000 new soldiers' rent, food, car payment, streaming services, restaurants, new clothes, a weekend trip, some gadget they saw advertised, and by Monday morning, 980 of those soldiers are dead. Gone. Not working. Not fighting. Not compounding. Dead. And the next Friday, another 1,000 show up, and the same massacre happens again. This happens for 30 years, and people wonder why they have nothing. Here is the math that should make your stomach turn. If you earn $50,000 a year, which is close to the median household income in this country, and you work for 40 years, you will have earned $2 million over your working lifetime. $2 million. And the average American retires with less than $100,000 in savings. Do you understand what that means? It means the average person earned $2 million, and kept less than 5 cents of every dollar they ever made. They killed 95 cents of every soldier they ever had. Now let me show you the other side of that same math. If instead of killing your soldiers, you deployed just 20 of them out of every 100, just 20% of each paycheck, something entirely different happens. On $50,000 a year, that is $10,000 deployed per year, $833 per month. Invested consistently into a simple index fund that mirrors the broad market, which over the last century has returned approximately 10% per year on average here, is what happens. After 10 years, you have $170,000. After 20 years, you have $600,000. After 30 years, you have $1,800,000. From $50,000 a year, from a perfectly ordinary income, from nothing but 20 cents on every dollar deployed instead of killed, the $1 million was always there. It was always inside the paycheck. The question was only ever whether you would send the soldiers out to fight or slaughter them the moment they arrived. Here is your assignment for machine number 1. Tonight, not this weekend, not next month. Tonight, I want you to look at your last 3 months of bank statements. Add up everything you spent, then divide that number by everything you earned. That is your soldier kill rate. If it is above 80%, you are in the danger zone. If it is above 90%, you are in a financial emergency, whether or not you feel like one. Write that number
We
down.
have breaking news.
Because
The
the
Dow
entire
Jones is
rest of
down
this conversation
800
is
points
about
in a
driving
sudden
that
crash.
number down.
This is unprecedented volatility.
Machine number 2.
Experts warn of
The
a
invisible
deeper
thief I
correction
want to
ahead.
introduce you
The
to someone.
sell-off is
His
accelerating.
name is Jack.
Tech and financial
Jack makes
stocks are leading the
$60,000
plunge.
a year. He is 30 years
Stay
old.
with us for the
He is
latest
not
updates.
financially irresponsible by the standards of his peer group. He pays his bills on time. He's a small emergency fund. He goes out to dinner a few times a week, takes one vacation a year, drives a reasonably new car. His friend Mike makes the exact same $60,000 a year. At 30, they are identical. Same income, same city, same lifestyle, roughly. Here's the difference. Jack spends first and saves what is left, which is usually not much. Mike saves first and spends what is left, which forces him to adjust. That is the entire difference. No secret strategy. No better stock picks.
In an ordinary
no side
neighborhood
hustle.
like this,
Just the
on a
order of
quiet street in
operations.
Omaha,
By the time Jack
extraordinary
and Mike are
wealth was
65,
built.
Mike has retired
Not on
with
Wall
a
Street.
portfolio worth approximately $2
Here,
million.
amid these ordinary
Jack
houses
has a
and
few
lawns,
$100,000
a
and is
quiet
quietly
street
terrified about
where
whether
the
he can
extraordinary
actually stop
quietly
working.
took root.
Same income, 35 years, a $2 million gap produced by nothing but the sequence in which they moved money. This machine has a name, Charlie Munger, my partner of nearly 60 years, the sharpest mind I have ever encountered in a lifetime of encountering sharp minds. He called it paying yourself first.
Look at this
But I
table.
think that name
See the
undersells
30-year
how
row?
violent and
Whoa, the number is
non-negotiable the
huge.
principle must be to
That's the
actually
power
work.
of compound
So I
interest.
call it the invisible thief.
So it grows faster
Here
over
is how
time?
it works. The moment your
Exactly.
paycheck arrives,
Start now
before you
and
pay
watch
rent,
it build.
before you pay the
Wow.
car, before you buy groceries,
I need to start
before you
saving.
do anything, a predetermined percentage disappears automatically, invisibly, into an account you do not touch, do not see in your daily banking app, do not think of as available money. It is not gone, it is just invisible. And what you cannot see, you cannot spend. The psychological research on this is overwhelming. When people try to save what is left over at the end of the month, they save almost nothing. When savings are automated before they ever see their spending account, they adjust their lifestyle to the remaining amount and build wealth almost effortlessly. The key word is automatically, not willpower, not discipline, not motivation, automation. Because willpower is a finite resource, it depletes. It fails at the end of a long day when you are tired and stressed and the shopping app is one thumb press away. Automation does not get tired. Automation does not have a rough week. Automation does not negotiate with itself at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. Here's the number I want you to use. 15% minimum, 20% if you can manage it. If you are starting from 0 and 15% feels impossible, start with 5 and increase it by 1 percentage point every 6 months. The amount matters less than the habit. But do not kid yourself about the math. The more you automate, the faster the machine runs. Set up an automatic transfer the day your paycheck hits. Not the day after, the day it hits. The invisible thief must strike before you have a chance to kill us. Here is your assignment for machine number 2. Plug into your bank today. Set up an automatic transfer to a separate bank account, a brokerage account, a retirement account, anything that is not your checking account for whatever percentage you can commit to right now. 15% if you can. Whatever you can manage if you cannot. Schedule it for your next payday. Do not wait until you have more money. Do not wait until you feel ready. The farmer does not wait for perfect weather to plant. He plants in the season for planting and trusts the process. Number 3. The avalanche. There is a mountain in this story, and it is made of debt, not investment debt. Not a mortgage on a reasonably priced house. I am talking about consumer debt, credit card balances, car loans on depreciating machines, buy now, pay later schemes, personal loans for things that no longer exist. This is the single greatest destroyer of soldier armies I have ever seen. Let me show you the mathematics of this destruction. The average American carries approximately $6,000 in credit card debt at any given time. The average interest rate on that debt is somewhere between 20 and 24% per year. 24% per year. Now I want you to understand something about 24%. Over my career, which has been somewhat successful by most measures, I have averaged returns somewhere in the neighborhood of 20% per year. That is considered remarkable. That is considered among the best long-run investment records ever compiled. Your credit card company is collecting that from you every year on money you already spent, on things you no longer have. Let me put it another way. $6,000 in credit card debt at 24% interest, if you are paying only the minimum monthly payment, will take you over 20 years to pay off and cost you approximately $10,000 in interest. You borrowed $6,000, you paid back $16,000 in interest. You borrowed $6,000 for purchases you made years ago and probably cannot even remember. This is not a debt problem. This is a mathematical catastrophe disguised as a normal part of modern life. Because everyone has credit card debt, your colleagues have it, your neighbors have it, your family members have it. The culture has normalized it so completely that people carry it for decades without registering it as the emergency it actually is. Here's the framework I call the avalanche, and it is the most efficient path out. List every debt you have, not the mortgage. Every consumer debt, credit cards, car loans, store financing, personal loans, everything. Order them by interest rate, highest rate first. Pay the absolute minimum on every debt except the top one. On the top one, the highest interest rate, you throw every available extra dollar you have. When it is gone, you take everything you are paying on it and add it to the payment on the second debt. And so on down the list. The reason this works mathematically is that you are eliminating the highest rate destruction first. Every dollar deployed against 24% debt is a guaranteed 24% return. Guaranteed. You cannot get that anywhere in the market with any certainty. Killing your highest rate debt before investing elsewhere is not a sacrifice, it is arbitrage. Now let me tell you about the psychological trap hiding inside this machine. I call it the reward trap. You have been disciplined for 6 months. You have been sending money to debt instead of going out, instead of buying things, instead of living what your brain defines as a normal life. Your primitive brain is keeping score. And the moment you feel that first debt gone, the moment the balance hits zero, your primitive brain screams you deserve a reward. A vacation, a new purchase, something. And if you listen to that scream, you will spend the next 6 months refilling the exact debt you just emptied. I have watched intelligent people do this cycle 2, 3, 4 times. You must anticipate the reward trap before it springs. Build a tiny celebration into your plan from the beginning, a dinner, an experience. Something modest and pre-approved that acknowledges the win without detonating the progress. Give the primitive brain a small treat and refuse it the large one. Here is your assignment for machine number 3. Write down every consumer debt you carry. Every one. The full balance, the interest rate, the minimum payment. Total them up.
This is it.
Look at that number.
The one I've
That
been
number
dreaming
is
of.
not just money owed. That is
All right,
future soldiers
let's
already
make this
killed.
official.
That is the compound interest
Here
that
we
will
go.
never exist because these debts consumed
All signed.
capital before it could grow. Now
She's
order them by
perfect.
interest
She's
rate
mine
and commit to the
and worth every
avalanche.
penny.
If you currently have
Account's
no
clear.
consumer debt, I am
We're
genuinely
thrilled to
pleased for
partner
you.
with you.
Your assignment is to
The
make
feeling
a
is
formal
mutual.
written rule
This is
that
just
you
the
will
beginning.
Never again carry a
Perfect.
credit card balance.
Let's get a
Not
photo to
sometimes,
remember this.
Not usually. Never.
Great shot. Midnight
Machine
exact.
number 4, the index engine. I want to tell you about one of the most expensive phrases in the history of personal finance. That phrase is, I will invest once I understand it better. I have been in this business since the early 1950s. I have known the greatest investors, the most sophisticated analysts, the sharpest financial minds of the last century. I have seen brilliant people construct incredibly complex investment strategies using instruments most people cannot even define. And I want to tell you something about the vast majority of those brilliant, sophisticated, complex strategies. Over long periods of time, they underperform a simple index fund. Not some of them. Most of them. Year after year, decade after decade, the research is consistent and brutal. Approximately 90% of actively managed funds run by professional investors with research teams and Bloomberg terminals and decades of experience fail to outperform a basic S&P 500 index fund over a 20-year period. 90%. Now, if 90% of professionals with every advantage imaginable cannot beat the simple index, what precisely makes you think that you checking your portfolio on a phone app between meetings are going to do better? The answer is ego. It is always ego. Intelligence, when paired with ego, becomes a liability in investing. Because a smart person can always construct a convincing story for why their judgment is superior. Why this stock is different, why this moment is different, why this moment is different, why the market is wrong and they are right. And that story costs them a fortune. Here is what the index engine actually does. An index fund, say one that tracks the S&P 500, simply owns a small piece of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in America. When one company fails, it gets replaced by the next one. You are not betting on which company wins. You are betting that American business on the whole continues to grow and generate profit over the long run. That bet has paid off at approximately 10% per year for the last century. Not every year. Some years it drops 40% and your stomach turns over and everything feels like it is collapsing. And that is exactly when most investors make the single most expensive mistake of their lives. They sell. They take the loss and they go to cash and they wait until it feels safe again. And by the time it feels safe, the recovery has already happened without them. Let me give you the math on this in a way that I think will change how you see the market permanently. If you had invested $1,000 in an S&P 500 index fund in 1970 and left it completely alone, no trading, no adjustments, no panic selling, by 2020, that investment would be worth approximately $170,000. If during
Okay,
those
first
50
quarterly
years you had
dividend.
missed just
Time
the
to
10
treat
best single
myself.
days in the market, 10
I'll
days
just
out
leave
of
it be.
approximately 12,000
Dinner was
trading
amazing.
days,
Now
your return
about
would have
that
been cut
weekend
in
trip.
half. The 10 best
The
days.
growth is so
Most
steady.
people who try to
Perfect.
time the market
One
miss
more
than 10
splurge
good
before the
days.
next
They
quarter.
miss dozens
It's really adding up now.
because the best
Price
days
is
in the
what you
market
pay.
almost always come
Value
immediately
is
after
what
the
you
worst
get.
days. The people who panic out during crashes are almost never back in when the recovery
This
begins.
is the cornerstone
The
of
strategy
sound
is not to be
investing.
smart. The strategy is to be boring.
Remember this,
Automate the investment,
and you'll navigate the
contribute
markets
every single
wisely.
month, regardless of what the
This
market
concept
is
is
doing.
foundational.
When it drops,
Absorb it
you are
fully.
buying more shares at
Yes,
lower
Professor.
prices.
I'm listening
This is the
intently.
mechanical gift
Good.
of dollar-cost
Now,
averaging that most
apply this
people
to
are
your
too
daily
afraid to
work.
receive.
I
Never
will.
check your
Thank you.
portfolio more than twice
Remember,
a year.
focus is the
I want to say
key.
that again.
Review
Never check
these
your
notes.
portfolio more than twice
I'll
a year.
practice this.
The more often you look, the more likely you are to react. And reaction, emotionally driven buying and selling, is the single greatest destroyer of investment returns in existence. Here is your assignment for machine number 4. Open a brokerage account if you do not have one. A Roth IRA if you qualify. A traditional IRA. A 401k through your employer. Whatever is most advantageous for your situation. Find the lowest cost index fund available to you. Look for an expense ratio below 0.2%. Something that tracks the S&P 500 or the total market. Set up automatic
Whoa,
monthly contributions
10%
using the percentage
yield?
established in machine
That's
number 2.
incredible.
Then close the app.
This could
Seriously,
really
set a
change
calendar
things.
reminder to check it once in
I
6
have to
months.
get in on this
Twice
now.
a year maximum. The engine does not need you watching it to run. It needs
The future
fuel.
is looking
Give it
so
fuel
bright.
and get out of the way. Machine number 5, the compounding clock. I am going to tell you the most important number in this entire conversation. It is not an interest rate. It is not an income figure. It is your age right now. Because the dirty secret of compound interest, the one the math books explain, but the human brain fundamentally refuses to internalize until it is too late, is that time is not just a factor in the equation. Time is the engine. The money is just the fuel. Let me show you 2 people. First person we will call Sarah. Sarah starts investing $200 a month at 22 years old. She does this faithfully for 10 years. At 32, she stops contributing entirely. Not one more dollar goes into the account. She just lets what is there grow. Second person we will call David. David spends his 20s spending everything he makes. At 32 exactly, when Sarah stops, he gets serious. He starts investing $200 a month. And unlike Sarah, he never stops. He contributes every single month until he is 65. David contributes for 33 years. Sarah contributed for 10. Who has more money at 65? Sarah does. Not by a little, by a significant margin. Sarah invested $24,000 total and retired with approximately $180,000 more than David, who invested $79,000.
A 1988 Coca-Cola stock
David
certificate
invested over
held in
3
an
times
elderly
as much
hand.
money and has less to show
Yellowed
for
with
it.
age,
This is
it
not a
bears
trick.
the marks of
This is not a
time,
flaw in the math.
a tangible
This is the
piece of
compounding
corporate
clock doing
history
exactly
from
what
a
it
world
does
long
to
past.
exactly the people who
History
misunderstand it.
held gently in the
Early
palm of a
money is not
hand.
just more valuable than late money. Early money is categorically more powerful than late money. Here's the rule I call the rule of 72, and it is the simplest tool I know for understanding the compounding clock. Take the number 72, divide it by your expected rate of return. The result is approximately how many years it takes for your money to double. At 10% return, money doubles every 7.2 years. At 25 years old, with money earning 10%, here's what happens. Your dollars double at 32. They double again at 39, again at 46, again at 53.
At 28,
again
she's
at
setting up a
60.
$300 monthly
Doubling
transfer
between
to
age
her
25
investment
and
account.
60.
With
If you start
compound
with
growth, her
$10,000
future
at
self will
25,
enjoy the
it becomes
freedom to travel the
20,000,
world.
then 40,000,
At 60,
then 80,000,
she's living that dream,
then
passport in
160,000,
hand,
then
stepping off a
120,000.
plane. Investing today
From a
for your
single
future.
$10,000 investment,
This
now
is the
start at
quiet
40
hour,
instead of 25.
when the lights go
You
out
only
one
get
by
3
one.
doublings before 60.
The
Same
gleam
10,000
of these
becomes
machines
80,000
fades,
instead of 320.
but the memories
The
they
decade
carry
you waited
remain.
cost you $240,000.
In the silence,
$10,000
you can
investment,
almost hear the
now
engines of
multiply
the
that across
past.
a lifetime of contributions, and you begin to understand why I say with complete sincerity that the single most expensive decision most people will ever make is the decision to start investing later. Not a bad stock pick, not a market crash, not a failed business. The delay, the waiting. The I will start when I have more money and I understand it better and the time feels right. The time will never feel right. The time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. I need to tell you something personal about this. When I was 11 years old, I filed my first tax return. I had made $175 delivering newspapers and renting out a used pinball machine I'd placed in a barbershop. I paid $7 in taxes that year. I remember staring at that $7, not with anger, with the beginning of an understanding that would shape everything that followed. I understood, even at 11, that money I paid in taxes was not just $7 today. It was all the future soldiers that $7 would have produced, all the compounding that $7 would have generated over decades. I became almost obsessive about deploying soldiers early, not because I was greedy.
We did it!
Because I
Our
understood
first
the clock.
investment!
I
I
understood
can't
that the
believe it.
clock
This is
does
just
not
the
stop while you
beginning.
figure things out. It keeps
Remember
running.
our first
Every
investment?
day you are not invested
Look
is a
at us
day of
now.
compounding you cannot
It all
recover.
started with that.
You cannot
We
get
made it.
yesterday's compounding
The future
back.
looks bright.
You cannot
Together,
negotiate
we
with
can
the
do
clock.
anything.
You cannot explain to it that you were busy, that you were confused, that you were planning to start soon. The clock does not care. Here's your assignment for mission number 5. I want you to go to any compounding use calculator here at Douglas online. I want you to put in your name, your current savings, your monthly contribution, and it assumes 10% annual return. Run it at age 65. Look at that number. Then move your start date back by 5 years as if you had started 5 years ago. And look at what that number would have been. The difference between those two numbers is the cost of your delay so far. Then look at what the number becomes if you increase your monthly contribution by just $100. These are not abstract numbers, these are decisions. Every one of these numbers represents a different future. You are choosing between them right now. Now let me step back from the machines for a moment. I have been in rooms with extraordinarily wealthy men. Private jets, multiple homes, names that appear in newspapers. Men who, by every external measure, won the game. And I have sat with some of them at the end. I do not mean that poetically. I mean I have been in hospitals and at bedsides and at funerals. I have watched men with 9-figure net worths reach the final chapter of their lives. And let me tell you something I have never spoken about publicly. The ones who are at peace, truly at peace, not performed peace, are almost never the ones with the most money. They're the ones who used the money correctly, who bought time instead of things, who built something that mattered, who were genuinely, deeply loved. And the ones who are not at peace, the ones who lie in those rooms with something still unresolved, something almost desperate behind their eyes, they almost always
Okay,
made the
first
same mistake.
investment, $200
They
into
treated
Apple.
money as the destination instead of the vehicle.
Confirm. It's real
They
now.
won the financial game and lost the human one. I think about
All
a
right,
test I applied to
200
my own
into
decisions, and I have
Microsoft.
applied it for 60 years now.
Diversifying early.
I call it the rocking chair
One step
test.
closer.
Imagine yourself at 95 years old. You are sitting in a rocking chair on a porch somewhere. The game is mostly over. The decisions are mostly made. The life is mostly lived. What are you thinking about? I promise you it is not your stock returns. I promise you it is not the car you drove, or the neighborhood you lived in, or the designer items in your closet. It is the people, the moments, the things you built that outlasted you, the love you gave and received. At 95, nobody thinks I wish I had spent more time at the office. Nobody thinks I wish I had bought the more expensive version. Nobody thinks I wish I had checked my portfolio more often. They think about their children and whether the relationship is what it should be. They think about their friends and whether they showed up when it mattered. They think about their work and whether it meant something. They think about their integrity and whether they kept it. Money is a tool for freedom. Freedom is a tool for living fully. And living fully requires things that money cannot purchase. You cannot write a check for genuine human affection. I have seen men try. It does not work. The only currency that buys real love is being worth loving, which means showing up, being present, being honest, being the kind of person whose company is a gift, not an obligation. The machines I have given you today will build the $1 million, but the $1 million is not the point. The point is what the $1 million enables. Freedom from fear, options instead of obligations, the ability to say
We're
no
all
to the
here
wrong
with you.
things and yes to the right
Rest
ones.
now, Dad.
The ability to be fully
I love
present
you,
with your
Grandpa.
family instead of perpetually distracted by financial
Sleep
anxiety.
peacefully.
The point is freedom, and freedom, used wisely, enables everything else. Do not lose sight of that. Do not become so obsessed with the machines that you forget why you built them. Top. So let us bring this home. 5 machines. Machine number 1, a soldier factory taught you that wealth is not about income. It is about the ratio of soldiers deployed versus soldiers killed. Start tracking your kill rate tonight. Machine number 2, the invisible thief taught you that savings must be automated before you can spend them. Pay yourself first, automatically, without mercy. Set it up today. Machine number 3, the avalanche taught you that consumer debt is a mathematical emergency dressed up as a normal life.
Pick this
Order
morning.
your debts by interest rate. Start the avalanche today.
These tomatoes look
Machine
wonderful.
number 4, the index engine taught you that
That's the market,
sophistication
man.
is the enemy of returns. Automate index fund contributions. Stop checking the portfolio. Get out of the machine's way. Machine number 5, the compounding clock taught you that time is the engine, and every day you wait is a day of growth you can never recover. The cost of delay is not theoretical. It is calculable. It is devastating, and it is your choice to stop it. None of this is complicated. None of it requires a finance degree or a broker or a market prediction or a perfect moment. It requires a decision, a real one. Not the kind you make while watching a video and feel good about for 20 minutes before going back to exactly what you were doing before. A real decision. The kind that changes behavior. The kind that shows up in your bank account records 6 months from now. I have watched people sit in front of better information than this for their entire adult lives and do nothing with it. Information without action is useless. Wisdom without execution is vanity. Do not let this be another video you watched. The arithmetic of escape is not a concept. It is a set of actions. The machines are here. They are ready. They were always ready. The only thing that was ever missing was you actually running them. The door's open. It has always been open. Now get to work. That's all. Thanks for watching.